All right, let's go to the Chumpline.
Howie, Joe Biden calling. Come on, man. We need to follow John Kerry's lead in driving electric vehicles. The fact is, we need all electric product lines from each of the big three automakers, Hudson, Packard, and Studebaker. I mean
it. Yeah. I always like the Hudson in the old TV shows and movies. They look like some kind of blimps on four wheels. They were cool looking cars. I think Hudson's were made by that was taken over by AMC. That was Romney's father, George Romney. I'm dating myself here.
We mustn't give up hope. We have to hold the line. The only things that stand in our way are the media, academia, Hollywood, big tech, the FBI, the CIA, every single hedge fund, every institutional bank, all of corporate America, the election process, and professional sports. Other than that, we have nothing to fear.
But fear itself. Come on. Don't be a gloomy Gus. Someone says, that wasn't a galley, that was a longboat. What is a longboat but a galley? You got a bunch of people rowing. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Copy.
The Chumpline is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week announcing the relaunching of our wicked awesome website. It's faster, it's leaner, it's even younger looking. Kind of like the Howie Carr of websites. In fact, there's even a rarely seen inspirational video of Howie getting the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Well, this is Charlie Parker. I want you to know that I'm going to be coming to your events. And if I see you closer than 2 yards, get it? 2 yards. That's 6 feet. 2 yards and closer than anybody without a mask, I'm going to throw a penalty flag.
That's tomorrow's press conference. As we get closer, they will become more and more hysterical.
Is it okay to say the virus formerly known as the China virus?
Yeah. Someone told me today that Alison Camerata on CNN was dressed down for referring to the South African variant. And somebody said, hey, if you can't call it the China virus, how can you call it the South African variant or the British variant? But they're
you're right. Absolutely. I mean, you're right. And I don't mean to disparage South Africa. It's just a handy shorthand. But I know that doctors don't like that when we give a geographic origin because we don't know that to be true. But in terms of the 501YV2, I hope, variant.
I knew Alison Camerata before she lost her mind. I can say that of a number of people that I used to work with in Boston. But, the variants, the mutants, whatever you want to call them, they're warming up in the bullpen. We have to have something to keep the mail-in ballot grift going in 2022. So just ask Dr. Fauci, cut 15.
And I'll close by saying it again, because I've said it many times, and I'll close by saying it again. We have to be concerned about the mutants.
Are those the people who get the second shot of the vaccine?
Do we have to be concerned about the zombies too? The mutants.
So we can't cheer at the Super Bowl. Can we boo?
How about this? Yeah, I don't know. Don't worry about it. Charlie Parker will be lurking around outside your window to give you instructions on how to prevent your party turning into a super spreader.
The flying squirrel isn't my private jet. It's my wife's family's private jet.
Actually, as that horrible person Carr says, it's my second wife's first husband's trust fund's private jet, the Flying Squirrel, a Gulfstream.
Well, of course Fauci wears 2 masks, one for each face.
Okay, we got to just keep playing. Here's another Fauci cut about what happens when people get together unless there's a riot. There's only one way to avoid it being a disastrous public health experience, and that's if you loot and burn. Cut 11.
Tom, we do have something like this. There always is a spike, be it a holiday, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving.
Except a riot. COVID does not like burning buildings. COVID does not like broken plate glass windows.
You reduce, you reuse, you recycle. This public service announcement brought to you by F. John Kerry.
Exactly. Recycling, conserving, rationing, that's for the little people.
This year, Phil took a different tack due to what occurred 3 months back. If a shadow appears, it's our worst fears. 4 more winters with this Biden maniac.
Oh, God. Yeah, I have a feeling there's no way to, well, there is a way to get around it, but the alternative is even worse. Did they know what they were doing when they passed the 25th Amendment way back when?
Trying to figure out the best mob name for Dr. Fauci. You think it should be Tony 2 Masks or Tony 3 Masks?
How about Sawbones Jones?
Howie, Governor LePage calling. Of course the Democrats are wearing 2 masks. After all, they're two-faced.
Has Charlie Parker checked in on how many masks we need? Or Cuomo? They've been staying away from this question of the age for the ages.
That was your last Chumpline message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
That's it for the Chumpline today. The Chumpline is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, as long as it's between 1 and 4 p.m. Eastern time. And at this time, you can dial 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chumpline. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday, or we might include it in Chopped Chumps. That's our second Chumpline of the day, which we post as a podcast around 7 o'clock every night. You can get Chopped Chumps wherever you get all your other Howie Carr Show podcasts. The Chumpline is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week announcing the relaunching of our wicked awesome website. It's faster, it's leaner, it's even younger looking. Kind of like the Howie Carr of websites. In fact, there's even a rarely seen inspirational video of Howie getting the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Well, this is Charlie Parker. I want you to know that I'm going to be coming to your events. And if I see you closer than 2 yards, get it? 2 yards. That's 6 feet. 2 yards and closer than anybody without a mask, I'm going to throw a penalty flag.
Yeah, who says I'm Ebenezer Scrooge? I'm more like Tiny Tim, except I'm not as tiny, except in my intellect and ability to manage the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
Did you already blow it on your New Year's resolution? Didn't stick to that trendy new diet plan? Stop the roller coaster and get the Taylor, is there any sound for the Teenage Ninja Mutant Ninja Turtles?
They have a theme song, yeah.
They do. You want to set it up with the mutants?
Sure.
That's from the text line.
Through the night.
Not a bad idea.
I'm able to go on bike rides every day. Sometimes I go on 2 or 3. I have much lower blood pressure, a lot more energy. I still eat what I want to eat, but unlike before the sleeve, now I don't overeat. Get the weight off for good. Call Newton Wellesley Weight Loss Center. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. Don't procrastinate any longer. Whatever your age, whatever your gender, do it. Call 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
I can't tell you how many times in the past couple of months, somebody I know has told me a story.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panicked porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
Somebody I know has told me a story about how they got it, and it all goes back every single time to some informal gathering where nobody wore masks, nobody kept their distance, and the virus spread.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world. But it's the only world they know.
I mean, it's pretty common at this point that that's where a big piece of this is coming from.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Mother of mercy. Is this the end of Rico?
Howie Carr is back.
So Dr. Fauci is very concerned about mutants. Was there a TV show about mutants?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell.
Heroes in a half shell. Now they're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. Take a screen break today with Raycon wireless earbuds. Raycons offer water and sweat-resistant construction and seamless Bluetooth pairing. And with 6 hours of playtime, you can unplug for a while. Get 15% off at buyraycon.com/Howie, buyraycon.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Are you going to attend a football party on Sunday against the advice of Charlie Parker
and Fauci? Yes, I am.
54% say yes.
I wasn't even planning on a party. Now I'm going to have to throw a party just to spite them and spite the mutants that are coming to get me. 844-500-4242. You know, this next story I'm going to read is from CNN. So I'm just going to put it in perspective.
This is CNN.
You know, they've been talking about all the people that died at the riot on January 6th, and one of them they always mention a Capitol police officer was killed. They say a Capitol police officer was killed. How many times have you heard that? Right? This is CNN, and this is investigators are struggling to build a federal murder case involving fallen U.S. Capitol Police officer Brian Sicknick, vexed by a lack of evidence that could prove someone caused his death as he defended the Capitol during last month's insurrection. See, they're using all their terms, defended, insurrection, and all this. But apparently and it's unfortunate that he died the next day, but there's no evidence that he was murdered, apparently, according to CNN. Don't cancel me. According to CNN, state-run media is saying this. Authorities have reviewed video and photographs that show Sicknick engaging with rioters amid the siege, but have yet to identify a moment in which he suffered his fatal injuries. But they don't even know if it's an injury. See, they're not even writing this very well because they're not sure that it was an injury. Law enforcement officials familiar with the matter said. To date, little information has been shared publicly about the circumstances of the death of the 13-year veteran of the police force, including any findings from an autopsy that was conducted by the DC's medical examiners. Capitol Police have said that Sicknick had been, quote, injured while physically engaging with protesters and collapsed as a result of his injury sometime after returning to his office. He died the next day in a local hospital. In Sicknick's case, it's still not known publicly what caused him to collapse the night of the insurrection. So they're saying it was his injuries, but now they're saying they don't know. Findings from a medical examiner's review have not yet been released. According to one law enforcement officials, this probably should be the lead. Medical examiners did not find signs that the officer sustained any blunt force trauma, so investigators believe early reports that he was fatally struck by a fire extinguisher are not true. They are not, those reports that you heard endlessly repeated for the last month are not true, apparently, according to CNN. And it's very unfortunate that Brian Sicknick died. But it appears that he was not killed. He was not murdered. One possibility being considered by investigators is that Sicknick became ill after interacting with a chemical irritant like pepper spray or bear spray that was deployed in the crowd. Notice they say deployed. It was not fired at the crowd because they were firing it at Trump supporters, so it was deployed. If it had been cops using pepper spray against Antifa, then it would have been fired at them. But investigators reviewing video of the officer's time around the Capitol haven't been able to confirm that in tape that has been recovered so far, the official said. They've been looking for the tape for a month, obviously. The case could also be complicated if Sicknick had a pre-existing medical condition. So, again, this is CNN is reporting this. This is not a debunked. This is not a debunked conspiracy theory. They've reported plenty of debunked conspiracy theories, as we all know, including the Russian collusion hoax and Scaramucci getting the bank loans from the Russians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a case where they're actually reporting what appears to be some real news. So I wonder, but probably tonight on prime time, they'll be talking about the Capitol Police officer who was killed in the insurrection or murdered in the insurrection, even though they're running a news story saying it doesn't appear to be the case. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. They're still getting you'll pardon the expression, blowback that the Lincoln Project, the Never Trumpers, about the fact that this guy, John Weaver, one of the leaders of the project, is now accused of being a gay predator, hitting on the young men as young as 14. And so now Rick Wilson, this is the guy who came up with the credulous boomer rube comment and had
Mr. Rebel Flag.
Yeah, Confederate.
Cooler.
He had the stars and bars, the Confederate flag on his cooler, and but he's really down on Trump for consorting with neo-Nazis, right? But this is what he said. Now he's denying he knew anything about Weaver. Like Sergeant Schultz, he knows nothing. Cut 9.
At no point was any member of the Lincoln Project informed about this underage child. At no point did what was apparently an open secret on gay Twitter come to our attention in a way that said, "Hey, wow, this is a problem at scale. Holy hell!" Because that's a hermetically sealed world. I'm a 57-year-old white dude, straight white dude who lives in North Florida in a swamp. Okay, I'm not on gay Twitter.
Gay Twitter? Anybody familiar with gay Twitter? I'm Howard
Alexander
Carr.
Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
Liberty Safe. If you're a gun owner, you know that name because they've worked so hard to earn the title of America's #1 safe. And the area's best Liberty Safe dealer is Dependable Lock in Nashua. They have Liberty Safes in stock now. Keep your guns and other valuables locked up in a Liberty Safe. See the experts at Dependable Lock to learn more and see the full collection. LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. LibertySafeNewHampshire.com.
And now a namaste moment with Chris Cuomo.
Hope with me that today Dr. King's example inspires the many striving for better and enlightens the toxic few determined to be their worst.
Yeah, you're gonna have a problem. What are you gonna do about it? I'll ruin your I'll throw you down these stairs like a punk.
We could not have a better reminder that you can't kill an idea with violence.
And I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker to be able to pull over and get in my face and in my space.
And that violence can be used as a refuge for those coming from a place of animus and ignorance.
What's the best way to handle it? You just ignore it.
Naked choke?
Just ignore
Punch
it.
to the sternum. As Dr. King taught us, darkness can only be removed by the light of truth. And love is the ultimate form of truth.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't
you have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, I because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican. 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm a great gift giver. My problem, though, is that I always forget about Valentine's Day. Thankfully, the Howie Carr Show has great sponsors that have me covered this February 14th, and they can help you out, too. Flowers are a must, so I'm going to order a beautiful bouquet of roses through 1-800-Flowers. Just going to go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click microphone, enter code Howie, and take advantage of these discounts. Ooh, I can even double my order for even more savings. Oh, she'll love that. Let's see, what else? Ooh, I bought her some new earrings for Christmas. The Kathy Ireland Gem Spa is perfect for keeping those as stunning as they were in the display case. MyGemSpa.com and code word GRACE gets me 20% off. Nice. What else? Ooh, candles. I know Old New England Soap has those Woodwick soy candles to keep the house smelling fresh. OldNySoap.com. Oh, wow, they have a lot of candles and soaps to choose from. This is going to take some time. Oh, speaking of scents, she's been nagging me to get rid of that funky smell in the basement. Good thing the Thunderstorm Air Purifier is $10 off with code word Howie at EdenPure.com. That's it. All done. Thanks to our great sponsors for saving me time and money this Valentine's Day.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We've been talking about the increase in the minimum wage and how it was going to destroy jobs. It's already being done at a local level. We've talked about it in Seattle and San Francisco, particularly. They passed a higher minimum wage. Now, the city of Long Beach, California, the Long Beach City Council has mandated an increase of $4 an hour for some grocery store workers in Long Beach. It's a hazardous pay bump for at least 120 days amid the, quote, increased health risk to workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. So do you know what happened when the Long Beach City Council mandated an increase of $4 an hour for big chain stores, supermarkets? Kroger's shut down immediately two of the stores in struggling, as they put it, struggling neighborhoods. Kroger will shut down two of its stores in Long Beach in response to the city imposing a hero pay increase of $4 an hour. So the heroes are now going to the unemployment line because the city council stupidly upped the wages. And the head of the California Grocers Association, a guy named Ron Fong, said, "We repeatedly warned that a $4 an hour increase would have major unintended consequences, including potential store closures, the reduction of work for employees, and higher grocery costs for customers." And sure enough, that's what's happened. Meanwhile, the fake Indian is just coming up with one stupid idea after another now. And she's recycled. These are recycled stupid ideas by the fake Indian Senator Elizabeth Warren. So she's been joined by Ayanna Pressley. She's the one who wants to let fat prisoners out. Anyone who's and old prisoners, even if they're serial killers. If you're over the age of 55, you should be let out. So now Ayanna Pressley, who wants to let the fat prisoners out, is joined with Senator Fake Indian. She wants to wipe away, again, up to $50,000 in student loan debt.
I'm going to get me a beer.
She wants to wipe out, they want to cancel up to $50,000 in debt for every one of the roughly 44 million Americans who have federal student loans. Federal student loans. Doing so, Warren says, would deliver financial help to tens of millions of struggling Americans amid an economic crisis. Particularly Black and brown. Black is capitalized, but brown is not capitalized in this story, by the way. Borrowers who have been disproportionately affected by the nation's $1.6 trillion student debt loan, proponents argue. Well, I don't think it's fair. Equity is the watchword of the day, isn't it? That means equality of outcomes, not just equality to compete on equal terms, but to have the same outcomes. So if somebody needs their $50,000 in student loan debt canceled, why can't if Mr. X can get that, why can't Ms. Y get $50,000 in mortgage loans canceled? Why can't transgender Z get $50,000 in credit card debt canceled? Why can't anything, mortgage loans, car loans, student loan debt? Why should anyone have to pay any debt whatsoever? But wait, Elizabeth Warren has also resurrected another one of her really bad ideas from her 2020 campaign. She wants to bring back the wealth tax. Remember we talked about this last year? She says, she said, and then Bernie followed her, or was it Bernie who was there first and then she followed him? Anyway, it worked better for Bernie because he finished higher than she did and got I think he got a lot more donations, contributions than Elizabeth Warren did, and he funneled them through his wife's company. So it was a lot more profitable campaign for Bernie than it was for Elizabeth. But what the wealth tax is if you have a net worth of $50 million, Elizabeth Warren says that you should have to pay 2% of that 50 million every year to the federal government. 2%, that's $1 million. Now, again, this is a woman who lives in Massachusetts where you have the option on your state income taxes to pay at the old rate, the higher Dukakis era rate of 5.85%, or you can pay at the current rate of 5%. And until she ran for president, she never wanted to pay at the rate of 5.85%. She never, quote unquote, checked the box. She checked another box, claiming that she was a Native American, but she never checked the box to pay higher taxes. But now she thinks it's only fair that high-income Americans should have to pay 1% of their net worth every year. Now, of course, the question is, how do you determine the net worth? Do you think that there would be some cheating? Just like some people claim to be Native Americans when they're really not. Do you think there'd be cheating in this? Do you think people would deflate their assets? They would move them around. They would claim that their property was not really worth $50 million, or that their jewelry the jewelry that they owned was not worth $10 million, that it was actually worth $10. Do you think they would lie about their art collections? John Kerry has a lot of art collections. Apparently Mama T, when he married her, she gave him a painting that had been owned by her first husband's trust fund, and just so that he would have something to call his own. So do you think they would move it around? Now, I think we had stories last year when she and Bernie first suggested a wealth tax, that I think there were 22 countries at one time, mainly Western European countries, had these wealth taxes, and almost all of them repealed them because they were driving capital out of the country. And I think France was a good example, that the millionaires and quote unquote billionaires, multimillionaires in France were just leaving the country. They were immigrating to other nations to escape the so-called wealth tax. And then during the campaign, we can open up the lines and take some calls on this. During the campaign, she said that if you owned over $1 billion, you would have to turn over 6% every year. So 6% of $1 billion is 60 million. So you'd have to come up with $60 million a year. What happens if you have your money in a hedge fund and the hedge fund got hammered by the Reddit users and it lost 55% of its value? Would you still have to pay the 6% of your old value? I mean, again, you can see how this would be impossible to police. It would just be, there would be rampant fraud. And she doesn't care about this. And again, it's a tax for thee, but not for me, because she refused to pay an extra 0.8% on her state income taxes. But she thinks that everybody who is quote unquote rich should have to pay these huge levies. 844-500-4242. Suppose your wealth's in real estate and you have to liquidate some of it every year to pay this. Do you think that's going to impact adversely the price of real estate going forward? Is that possible? David, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Howie. Yeah, I've been hearing about this student loan debt, excusal, and, those people incurred those debts.
Right.
But if we're going to go down this road, how about excusing some income tax debt for some people who had no crime, but that they were just out trying to make a living. And many people get caught in not paying their income tax because they're self-employed. It's not just taken out automatically. And, it just happens. You just spend that money. You need that money. You've been paid that money. And that month, that money's got to go somewhere. And it didn't go to income tax. And all of a sudden, you've got a huge debt.
Do you remember a congressman from Texas named Dick Armey? When the Republicans took over the Senate in 1995, he had a great idea. He said, let's end the income tax withholding on paychecks, so that therefore everybody every 3 months would have to come up with and save and set aside all the money they owe the federal government and then pay it to the federal government, so they would know how much money was being extracted from them without them seeing it. Remember that? I mean, it was a great idea. It was never going to go anywhere because there would have been a revolution. People would have been so angry when they saw how much the government was taking out of their paychecks that there would have been a real insurrection, not this phony insurrection they keep talking about, which was just a riot. And that's why they never could do it. But you're right, David. I mean, yeah, people get jammed up for other reasons. Again, what is the difference between a student loan and a credit card debt or a car loan or a mortgage? What's the difference? You owe the money. You voluntarily assume this debt. Why is one debt suddenly more equal than another debt? Just like some forms of discrimination are more endorsed by the government than others. The DOJ just today, Biden's DOJ just dropped the lawsuit against Yale University. Yale University, like Harvard University, is pretty obviously discriminating against white applicants and Asian applicants. But that's okay, apparently. That's okay. A judge ruled it was okay for Harvard, and now the Biden administration says it's okay for Yale to discriminate against whites and Asians. Thanks for the call, though. That's a good point, David. Thanks for reminding me of Dick Armey. That was the most brilliant idea in a long time in Congress to do away with withholding taxes, to force people to understand how much money the government is robbing out of their paychecks every week. Great news. The Gen 40 heater is back. I'm tapping on it right now on social media if you're watching us on YouTube or anywhere else. And it's just in time for these really cold temps that we've all been suffering. Oil prices are going to go up. The Keystone XL pipeline has been stopped. 35 million gallons of oil a day is now going to China instead of the United States of America. Thanks, Joe Biden. Now there's a new moratorium on fracking on federal land. That means there's going to be less natural gas. It's going to be more expensive. Thanks, Joe Biden. It was 10 degrees in parts of New England this past week. There was a lot of snow. You need to start planning, and that means you need the Gen 40 heater. Robert from the Cape says the Gen 40 performs like no other heater I've ever used. It is remarkable. Taylor can tell you this. He stole the Gen 40 heater from my office when I came down to Florida. Right, Taylor?
I didn't steal. Now, it's only stealing if I don't give it back. But it's a very effective machine. It's so easy to use. The best thing about it, aside from that it works great, is it's portable. You can take it from room to room, and you're not going to break your back.
I'm holding it up with my left hand.
Yeah, see? And you're
which
not
is
even
weak,
left-handed.
from the fractured elbow that I had a couple of years ago.
Exactly. So that is some great highlights to it. I couldn't recommend it more.
The Eden Pure Gen 40 makes you feel warmer than your furnace. That's true. We all know that, all of us who have one. And it also costs less to run. You may be working from home more now, and you will need to pay close attention to the heating bills. The Eden Pure Gen 40 will pay for itself in a matter of weeks. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieDeal to get $50 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal for an extra $50 off. These heaters are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here. The captain will be back after